appreciate everybody that's in attendance. Ken Odie will lead us in prayer this evening. So everyone, please rise.
Let's pray. Oh God, we come before you with gratitude. We thank you for being a God of love who is with us now in this very room. You never leave us or forsake us. Your grace has brought us safe thus far, and your grace will lead us home, Lord. We thank you for making each of us in this room, every person we meet, every citizen of this city, and every city in your own image, with dignity and infinite worth. We thank you for the calling you have given every one of us to be good stewards of your creation, to love our neighbors as ourselves. As we honor a life well lived this evening, former Mayor Mike Dreef, I ask that we keep his vision in our hearts and in our minds. I ask us, and also tell him to leave the light on for us because we'll see him later. I ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a roll call vote, please? A roll call, please.
Acting Mayor Gary Moore.
Present.
City Attorney Darren Rice.
Here.
Alderman Dewey Uckleberry.
Here.
Alderman Cody Atterbury.
Here.
Alderman Clifford Reaver.
Here.
Alderman Tyler Lampley.
Here.
Alderman Eugene McGill.
Present.
Alderman Jerry Lisenby.
Here.
Alderman Terry Stahl.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Kind of changing things a little bit. Here this evening we have Colin Mosley, an aide to Darren Bailey, to present an award in the honor and the life and the service of Mayor Dreef. Colin, please step forward.
All right, hey, thank you very much, everyone, for being here this evening. My name is, can we turn?
Yeah, go ahead and face it.
Like that better. My name is Colin Mosley. I'm an aide to Senator Darren Bailey. I'm here tonight to do a few things, and I appreciate the council indulging this. Mayor Dreef, back in 2021, we reached out and said, hey, the senator wants to be present in the district and to have be available across all of our 13 counties. And so we began once a month to come here to City Hall and to be available to your citizens here in Fairfield. And oftentimes while I was here, where Darren was here, we would talk about things here in Fairfield. And Mike was always just so welcoming. He was always so forward-thinking, not only about this city and this county, but about our district as a whole here in the 55th District. And so tonight, to honor his friendship, to honor his legacy and his service, I'm going to read a draft of a Senate resolution that we passed as long as Carol approves the full language. We are going to pass this resolution through the Illinois State Senate, so it will go into the record for the General Assembly, and we'll have a copy presented to the family. So this resolution has several paragraphs of biography. I'm not going to read the full thing, but I'm going to read a few sections of it. So it says, whereas members of the Illinois State Senate are saddened to learn of the death of Mayor Mike Dreef of Fairfield, who passed away May 28, 2022. Whereas Mayor Dreef was a member of the Cornerstone Community Church in Fairfield and served as a Sunday school teacher at several churches throughout his life, and was a lifelong lover of Basset Hounds, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Kansas Jayhawks. Whereas Mayor Dreef is survived by his wife Carol, his sons Andrew and Alicia, Douglas and Katie, Alexander and Chloe, his stepson Ryan Metter, his grandchildren Carson Dreef, Camden Dreef, Wyatt Dreef, Dempsey Dreef, Millie Lou Dreef, and Lexa Parsley, and his mother, Mary Etta Spalding, and his sister, Barbara Bill Watson. Therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Illinois, the 102nd General Assembly, we mourn the passing of Mayor Michael Dreef and extend our sincere condolences to his family, his friends, all who knew him and loved him. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to his family of Mayor Dreef, the city of Fairfield, as an expression of our deepest sympathy. One of my favorite memories of Mayor Dreef is I come here time to time and talk with him, and he had my email address. We'd email occasionally, and one day he he sent me an email requesting me to do all these things with your water project going on, and it was all these things. It was legal documents, and I called him. I said, Mike, what are you talking about? And he goes, oh, that was for Darren Rice, not Darren Bailey. I said, well, that makes a whole lot more sense. And we laughed for a long time about that story. And like I said, he was just always so welcoming to us here in the city of Fairfield. And we have a good friendship with a lot of our mayors throughout the district, and a lot of our cities. But I can tell you for a fact that only a handful of them were as quick to reach out to us for resources, for help, and vice versa, that we could reach out to for advice on legislation that would affect cities in our district. So to his family, just thank you for this chance to come and honor him tonight. Thank you for sharing Mike with us and with the city of Fairfield. And if you ever need anything, and not only to you guys, but to all of you and to the city of Fairfield, please do not hesitate, because you have a friend in our district. So God bless you all. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. In the packet, council, there were the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. If there are no corrections or additions, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting? I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Stahl, seconded by Alderman Lampley, to approve the minutes of the June 28th meeting. Roll call vote: Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
Eckleberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Reaver.
Yes.
And the minutes are approved. The next item would be the approval of the bills that were submitted. There's quite a few of them this month. Are there any questions on any of the bills that we can answer? If not, is there a motion to approve them?
I make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Eckleberry, seconded by Alderman Lampley, to approve paying the bills for this meeting. Roll call vote: Atterbury,
Yes.
Eckleberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
And that approves the bills. The next section will be public comments. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the council, we ask that you step forward, provide your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes to address the council. And with that, is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the council? Please come up, sir.
How are you today?
Wonderful.
I won't waste too much of your time, sir.
Could you state your name and address?
Joseph Harrelson. I live at 809 George Street. I have lived over there 13 and a half years, 14 years roughly. And I've been before you before and talked to you about some things that went on over there. I'm not going to beat you guys up with that, because nothing's ever been done about what went on over there. Nothing. I asked you, I plead with you, with all due respect, my home and land's paid for. My stuff is paid for. And when the old administration wouldn't let me work, I went around blackballed me and blacklisted me and told everybody not to hire me. I got out there and created me a job, invented me a job, sir. Gentlemen, stayed out there and worked the last 14 years, taking care of people, doing their side work, anything they needed done, I've done. Never charged very much money to do it. Was always respectful towards the law. But the law has let, and the police department has let the people beside me for 14 years destroy everything I had over there. And every time I called the local law, they joked around with them and left. They done nothing to them for doing what they've done. But what can I say to you guys to correct it? All I can say, leave me alone over there. They took my benefits away from me to run me out of the house, and that didn't run me out of the house. They broke out all my windows, killed my dogs. And Chief Claude Glacier is part of it, because he sent his men, every time his men was sent over there, they did nothing to the people doing the damage. But with all due respect, I've donated, since I've moved in here, I've donated to all the law agencies out of my mowing money and my work money. But I respect the law, because without the law in place now, sir, it'd be a lot more chaotic for all of us. And Mike Dreef, before he passed away, he was willing to do something about it. But he's gone now, so with all due respect to the Fairfield Police Department, I asked them to patrol over there more. I bought a house in a drug neighborhood. I was deceived to buy the house. And people say, why don't you move? I don't have anywhere to move to, sir. It costs money to move. But I tell you guys, I'm not the problem. The problem is the drugs and the people next door.
Okay. Got about 30 seconds left.
And just leave me alone. I don't bother nobody, sir. I don't. The law don't respect me, because if they did, they'd have never let them tear my home and land up.
Okay.
And please be safe. That's all I can tell you to do.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to address the council this evening? If not, we will close the public session and move on to routine business. On routine business, the first item was the purchase of a police vehicle, but we are going to have to pull that from the agenda. In having some conversations with the leadership, we cannot order, they won't take the order for the truck until October. So don't see that happening in this budget year, so we're just going to pull that from this evening's agenda and move on to the second item. Is there any questions about the purchase of that? I mean, just like I said, we was gonna go ahead and try to get the order put in, because of the time that it takes to get it here. But we were told that, they're not accepting any orders for new trucks. So we'll just have to readdress that at a later time. Item number 2 is the police eligibility list. Just an update for that. This past Friday, we had 4 applicants that turned in an application. We had 1 applicant withdraw his application, so that left with 3 people that tested Friday. We done the written test here. All 3 candidates passed the written test, and we're allowed to do the physical agility test on Saturday down at the high school. Of the 3 that took the eligibility test, only 1 of them passed. So, our police eligibility list is something that it's alarming. Over the last several months, we tested, 20 plus people. Now, some of those people might be returned for second chances or third chances, but we still haven't got the eligibility list that we need to get, to put the manpower back in the police department. I will applaud the officers, as they're working double time shifts, days off shift, vacation shifts, and it's trying on them and their families, but in the same way with Keith Gallclaser, the dispatchers, if you take a look at the overtime report, I mean it's not well. It's kind of scaring. We need our officers to be fresh at any time that they approach a vehicle. So, the challenge here is, what are we going to do to get the eligibility list to where it needs to be? If I'm not speaking, if I'm right, I think Terry's here. I think, we're going to try to test again in September. And again, the council approved the extension of the residency clause. We thought maybe that would pull in some more applicants. We have a residency clause for the FOP at 45 minutes from the police department. We offer a lateral transfer move if there's a sworn peace officer that would like to transfer over. We're offering them a $2,500 sign-on bonus. But in today's law enforcement, it's tough to get somebody that wants to be it, as all of the negativity surrounding that career choice. But, you know, it's not for a lack of effort, but, you know, we're gonna have to, you know, address it and get our eligibility list up to date, or more than one. So that's the eligibility update. So the next update, number 3, is just a discussion item, just to get your input. Sunrise Sanitation sent me an email, and they was kind of wanting under the paragraph 2B1 of the contract we signed, that gives them you know, maybe the ability to renegotiate some pricing. I spoke with Christy today, asked her that, you know, I was gonna bring it to the council to see if they were willing to open the contract. But with that, you know, there might be a few items that we wish to discuss likewise, and that was met with some resistance. She didn't feel that she was willing to open up the contract for anything other than the monthly fee. She has proposed a increase, you know, and I asked her, you know, on the phone, if the council is willing to open up the contract and maybe look at passing an additional fee, what is the economic trigger that will say, okay, it's time that we can relax that fee? You know, she didn't think that, she said it would be something she would be willing to talk about, but she didn't see that happening. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion with the alderman. And again, it's just discussion on whether we want to allow the contract to be open, to discuss the addition of maybe a monthly increase to our residents.
I'll start off. If she's not willing to open up the contract any further for some discussion, I don't really see giving her just an increase. I mean, give and take is something you usually do in a negotiation, and I've been a part of multiple conversations with her when there's been meetings with different mayors, and I know she's fairly headstrong, and I don't feel that we should just give in to her whim of an increase, because there's a lot of things that we were sold on when she presented this original contract to us that I don't think we ever really received. And I think the contract needed to be opened up further, and she knows what we'd asked for. So I'm not willing to give her anything unless she's willing to talk about some of the other things that we don't get.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes. Last year when we met with her, I told her that if she did not step up to the plate and start picking up more trash that's on the curb, that this price increase would not happen. That city council probably would not vote for it. And she said she would step up the game, but I don't see any changes.
Okay.
I'm not in favor of increasing because if they were doing a bang-up job, I would consider it, but in my opinion, they're not.
Any other comments?
I'm totally against it too. She good in contract, she knew what she was getting. If she don't like it, leave town.
She's not willing to negotiate, then once you open up that contract, that's free grabs. And she don't wanna negotiate, so I'm not in favor of giving her anything.
Okay. So I believe that's a majority of the council, you know, that just, it was their recommendation that, you know, I informed Sunrise that at this time, we're not willing to open up the contract unless there's some concessions on her side. Thank you, guys. And just talking about Sunrise a little bit, I mean, I had a town hall meeting here not recently, and, you know, some of that, you know, was brought up. I know we've had our differences with Sunrise, but, you know, and also, you know, Diane does an amazing job of handling the complaints that come in. I mean, our residents, I mean, Sunrise has their limitations on what they will take and what they will not take, and what they will take on bulk pickup day and what they will not take. You know, and sometimes, you know, as I drive around, you know, Diane will call and say that, you know, this house has been turned in, so I'll take a drive by, and, you know, there's stuff that we all should know that it's not gonna be picked up. You know, I mean, her contract states that the container, she would like the lid to be closed, and she will pick up an additional 3 bags, you know, if they're there. But, you know, when somebody puts out 25 or 30 bags, or they put out toys, or something like that, I mean, it's just not gonna be picked up, you know. And again, like I said, I know we've got some issues, with what we feel like bang up service should be. But, you know, I guess I'll just ask the residents again, if you have any questions on what they will take or what they won't take, you know, please get in contact with Diane. I mean, and, you know, we can repost the list, you know, on the city website. Just wanted to throw that out there. The next one we're going to talk about is the contractors of usage of the street and bridge facilities for dumping. You know, the council, and I don't know, time flies when it gets away from you, but, you know, we were asked as a council that our facility's getting full, and we needed to stop the contractors from taking trees and whatnot into that facility. And the council actually passed an ordinance, you know, that prohibited contractors from using the facility. Been brought to the attention now that we've got contractors that are being allowed to take wood chips in there and small brush limbs. So I mean, if we want to open it back up, you know, we need to have some discussions, because I mean, we're kind of violating our own ordinance here. And you know, I've talked with Robert a little bit. I mean, you know, there's 3 probably individuals that have tree service, you know, that utilize that. So I'm going to ask your guys' thoughts on what we would like to do. You know, previously we charged $250 a year, I believe, and we give the contractors a key to get into the gate. We found abuse and misuse of that, you know, so the council shut that off, and then we shut off, you know, on a recommendation that no contractor be allowed to use the facility. With that, I'll open it up for discussion from the council.
I would, you know, be open to the wood chips and small brush possibly. I don't know about going back to allowing the gate access, because there's no way to make sure that they're bringing in only small brush and wood chips. But I don't know, I mean, we made the rule change based on the recommendation of Street and Bridge while they were cleaning up the property, and I assume Robert feels that he's got it back into a shape that he feels comfortable allowing contractors back in there, which is it's fine if he feels that he's got it into that position. I know the Street and Bridge Committee had a meeting, I guess it was last year or whatever, and maybe they need to have another one and bring in Street and Bridge and see what needs to happen. I don't know.
We have a second location for that, don't we?
There was a location that was cleared off at the reservoir.
Right.
And there was trees that were allowed to be dumped in there. You know, there was an issue, you know, of who was gonna dump in there, and, you know, really, it was never approved by the city council to allow dumping at the reservoir. We just opened it up and it was allowed. You know, I had to meet with one contractor and actually have him remove the tree that he put out there, and you know, there was a cost associated with the removal of the tree that should have been there. I mean, if it's our desire to open up the reservoir side of it. The only thing I'll caution is, there's nobody to police it. There's no gate there, and if we say dump out there, I mean, we have no way to control out of town contractors or anything.
Or liability.
Or TVs and tires.
Yeah, there's a couch out there.
When we did that, or when we allowed that, I was skeptical on doing that whole program out there actually, because it was, like you say, it was really no way to go. But the fire administration wanted to do something to take care of the problem. I'm not sure it's a good idea to keep that out there either. Contractors should supply their own, because the stuff that they cut.
And all but one, I believe, has that ability to do that. But, I guess my recommendation here, to go forward is to ask the Street and Bridge Department to call a committee meeting and have a discussion and bring something back to the council. I mean, if we want to allow it, I mean, Robert didn't seem to have any problems at all with the wood chips. But he said small brush, but, what is small brush? And who's gonna, he wanted to kind of have the ability to approve or disapprove of, somebody being able to dump in there. So, I mean, that's something that, needs addressed. He's got 4 people in his department, and, they're running around, doing several things. So, I would ask that, maybe the Street and Bridge Committee call a meeting and get with Robert and bring something back to the council.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
The last item on is discussion of concerning ordinance updates. Attorney Rice has been on vacation, so we didn't have much to bring to this evening's meeting. But through the town hall meeting, there were some things that were brought forward, and I'm just going to talk about a few of them to see if there's any interest to have Attorney Rice prepare something to meet those needs. One of the things that we talked about, there was people wanting to know about the trailer ordinance. It's come to revisit. Currently our trailer ordinance states that the trailer has to be 15 years or newer to be brought into the city limits. With the economic conditions and whatnot, some of the people that have property for rent would like to see a relaxation of that ordinance. They've thrown out several things. We had a legislative committee meeting and we talked about that a little bit. There is going to be a zoning board meeting on the 25th, and the trailer ordinance is also on there for them to take a look at and maybe listen to ours. The general consensus, I believe, out of the legislative committee is to leave our 15-year ordinance in place, but maybe allow the landlord or the owner of the trailer to ask for an exception for an older trailer. One of the things we wanted to talk about there is inspections. When a trailer is brought into the city, it goes through a one-time inspection, and that's about it. I would like to see some kind of additional inspections, whether it's yearly, it's bi-yearly, but we need the ability to have some checks and balances. I mean, we want to take care of our residents, for housing issues, but we want to make sure that we keep the city within the ordinances and looking as nice as possible. Any further discussion on the
You might throw
trailer?
in there on that too, as well as mobile homes, you might say rental properties of any kind, because we have rental houses that are not very good shape. They need to be inspected too.
And that was one of their concerns, are you just picking on the trailers, or are you going to expand it to anybody that has a rental property? There were people that thought it needed inspection anytime the utilities changed residents. But what is the cost of that? You know, I don't know. You know, they also asked that maybe they have the ability to move this trailer from point A to this trailer at point B. You know, currently our ordinance prohibits that. Once it's there, it's there. So, I mean, that's, you know, the trailer ordinance was kind of a hot issue there for a little while, and, you know, but, you know, it's, we'll talk about it and go from there. We talked a little bit about trash. You know, one of the other requests there, and it's showed up on social media, is would the city be interested in allowing people to have chickens in their yard? Customer, not a customer, but a resident, you know, says that Naperville, Illinois, has a ordinance that allows 5 chickens in the backyard. Do not allow roosters. I guess roosters are what maybe continues to smell, but you know, and again, it goes back to an economic, you know, I mean, egg shortage, and maybe Alderman Lampley can address that, whether there's an egg shortage or you know what's happening there. But you know,
I can say that the egg market I thought was getting better and has turned on its head in the last couple of weeks, and the supply chain, I'm having trouble even getting some eggs, and the prices have skyrocketed. But yeah, I
and
still
like
have my
I say, I mean,
reservations.
currently we have a city ordinances that prohibit it. You know, it's social media. It's been brought to the attention. If you want to read social media, that you know we have some chickens in the city limits. You know, I was thinking maybe they was just free range and were visiting from the country, but I'm not for sure that that's happening. And with that, I guess we don't. I mean, is there any discussion? I mean, if not, we can just
on any of it, or I mean the trailer. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth debate when we got into the trailer. We had some people that own trailers that wanted to cut the amount of years, and then some people that wanted to increase the amount of years, and saying, hey, it gets inspected. It can be any age of trailer. You know, our kind of consensus, you know, and Terry's the head of that committee, but was maybe to leave the years there and possibly talk to the zoning about coming up with some rules of how they could address maybe one that's 18 years old that is a beautiful looking trailer. I mean, sometimes some people have kept a trailer in extremely good condition and they can't move it into town because it's not 15 years old. There's some trailers that are 10 years old that look horrible, that don't pass our inspections. But if we can allow maybe this one that's just outside that has been kept in immaculate condition because they have provided pictures inside, outside, provided a state inspector has went through it and has said, you know, this is a trailer that would be fine for the city of Fairfield. You know, maybe this one-time exception where they have to go out of their way to go and meet with the zoning board. It causes another hoop or hurdle, you know, however you want to look at it. If they're willing to do it, maybe it's something we can consider as a viable option for some people.
Special exception clause seems to fit both sides, or, you know, if the one person said there shouldn't be any age limit at all, well, that's probably it. But special exception, I think would work. See what you're going for.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, you know, the zoning board is having a meeting on the 25th. So, you know, if you're a trailer owner or a renter or something, or you just have some general input, you know, there will be a public comment section there, and you can address the zoning board. Other than that, you know, the town hall meeting, I think most everybody that was, you know, here was there, and you know, I think it was an informative meeting. It's something that I will continue to do probably about every other month, and you know, and it was informative. That will conclude the routine business part of the meeting. The next would be the financial report. Again, last month I presented the financial report. If anybody would like a copy, it'll also be put on Facebook. on our city webpage. The general fund balance, you know, I mean, it's something, you know, we need to keep an eye on. General fund balance as of June 30th of 2022 was $2,198,755. We had a negative cash flow of $249,812 for the month. You know, I posted May payroll. May payroll for the city was at $373,536. And one of the additional questions that come out of the town hall meeting, I was asked to provide what the city collects in gaming revenue and what the city collects in sales tax. Gaming revenue for the month of June was $11,363, and sales income tax was at $153,630. Gaming revenue for the year, and our year is just 2 months into it, but was at $27,872, and sales tax collected was $272,555. And again, just as a reminder, as you look at this financial report, you know, you're going to see some of our departments, you know, are in the negative, but some of our departments, they're not revenue generators. The police department being, you know, the number one, the fire department is number two. Our garage works on our equipment. You know, they don't charge, you know, the city, so the garage is usually one of those that are negative. You know, for the month total, you know, we had revenue of $1,234,495, and expenses of $1,616,168. For the month, we had a loss of $381,673. That's the financial report. I mean, it's available to anybody that wants it. With that, we'll move into miscellaneous comments. Miscellaneous comments?
Last week we had another recreation committee meeting that we have been holding monthly now for quite a few months, talking about anything recreation. We talked about our 4th of July that we had with the concerts. We talked about our eclipse, which is our biggest thing that we've been looking forward to. We brought in some other people. We brought in Claire and Heather Newman and Morgan Doggett into the group this time to provide some extra insight as we start to expand the group. Yes, the eclipse is in 2024, but we are looking to make Fairfield, you know, a hub for this area. Alvin's been working on it. We've been working on it for quite a few months. We're looking at, you know, starting to order some supplies and things like that to get ready. So I would say within maybe the next couple months, you probably see the Recreation Committee asking for use of recreation funds to start getting ahead of it, because we know once it gets closer, getting our hands on maybe eclipse glasses or things like that will get harder. We will look for donations to offset those expenses later down the road, but we want to get ahead of this. We want to make this project the best they can be and bring in a lot of people to the city of Fairfield.
And we're in a prime location for this eclipse. I mean,
Yeah, we're considered in the red zone, so we'll be in about the highest amount of minutes in the range that they give, so it should be good.
any other miscellaneous comments?
They'll be side by side, it's in the cemetery and in use.
Okay. No other miscellaneous. We will not go into an executive session for this evening, so at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a safe evening.